Hello, what's up? So I want to talk about Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo 4. What's funny about this, I had recorded about a few days ago one of my recordings I'm probably going to put up today about my favorite games, where I talk about some of my favorite games, not even like all my favorite games. And part of that, I actually ended up talking about a little bit about Diablo 2 and 3. They just came up, right? And then I think it was like 2 days later, man, I saw the news, the announcement for Diablo 2 Resurrected. Now, just to quickly say, I am not very hyped about it. I am excited about it. I think it's cool and I look forward to it. I'm not planning to even pre order it or even purchase it at launch or anything like that. I'll probably rent it. And again, if if you don't know me, you haven't heard my previous episode. I played Diablo 2. I played the crap out of it, and that's why I played the living crap out of it. And I'm not like others. I've even gone back and tried to play it sometimes. There's like a new mod came out. I forget what it's called, like Meridian or something like that. And I wanted to go play it because it sounded really cool. I went and downloaded it. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is what happened. I went back to go play Diablo 2 because of that mod. I had read about it, heard about it, and all this stuff, and I was like, whoa. So I installed it, had it all set up, and then I booted up the game, and the resolution was all screwed up and bad. It was because it's an old game. So that I was like, wait, why would you mod this game and then not like also put in some kind of setting in here that fixes the resolution as well? It was very weird to me because that mod sounded like it added like an entirely new expansion with like zillions of new cool awesome things, new enemies, new spells, like, and I was just like, really, they put new spells in the game? Like, how the hell did they do that, right? Because that's some coding for the game, right? And I was just like, oh my gosh, it all sounded so cool. And I didn't play it because of the resolution. Straight up, just straight up, the resolution was just the so yeah, so the resurrected thing looks really cool, and this is something I've also talked about before. This looks like an actual real remaster, which reminded me of the GameCube version of Resident Evil. When they did it, and it actually was like a full blown real graphical enhancement kind of a thing. It looked like a brand new game, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? So Diablo 2 isn't quite as drastic as a improvement. And I think it just, I don't know, actually. I mean, it looks amazing though. Like, it really does. Like, it looks really good. And I think it might just be the game style, although whatever. So one thing that I thought was funny, there's been this streamer, I don't remember his name at the moment. I mean, no disrespect, I just don't know who he is. I had never heard of him. I saw a video came out where this streamer, who is apparently really popular because he streams it a lot, he said he was been playing Diablo 2 for 20 years and he's been streaming it. I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 years, but he's been streaming it a lot, right? And I was like, that's cool, like, right on. So he did this hour-long interview with the developers of Resurrected, and the first thing that I noticed right away, because like I guess he was doing like a reaction video to the trailer, and I don't know if if he had already seen the trailer, and then when he was recording his reaction to the trailer, he just didn't have the same exact reaction. I think that's possible, because I'll never forget the look on his face and his non-reaction to the graphical change, right? So the trailer for Resurrected, it starts out, it's introducing the resurrection, the remaster, and it's like, I'll never forget this, because I was cracking up when the first few clips of gameplay they showed was the original graphics, and I was like, wait, please tell me this is going to be updated. Please don't show me these old freaking graphics and tell me you're going to call this a remaster like all the other games. Oh, it drives me nuts, man, these HD ports. I was like, no, don't do an HD port. I was pissed, dude. I was pissed, but I was waiting because the trailer wasn't over. I was like, you better. And then they did it. They had that, like, this flame kind of comes over the screen, and then it just opens up, it reveals the newer graphics, and I was like, whoa. I'm telling you, my jaw damn near dropped. It didn't quite drop, but I was just like, I know my eyes lit up. Like, I saw that and I was like, that is gorgeous. Like, holy crap. So yeah, the improved graphics, beautiful, man. Wow. So I was watching this guy. He was doing his reaction trailer. This was a part of the hour-long video. It was at the beginning of the interview video, and he's reacting to the video, and that graphic change happens, and he has like no reaction to it. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, really? No reaction to that graphic update? Really? Like, none? I was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Oh man. So, anyways, yeah, I think it's cool. I did what is also cool is it'll be on console. Although you know what's always funny to me, the way people talk about. Even he did it. Even this streamer. I'm assuming he forgot or something because even this streamer was talking to them. He was doing the interview and he was like, man, must have been pretty hard porting the game from PC to console, from mouse and keyboard to controller or whatever. And I was very, every time I hear anybody say stuff like that, I'm like, because I remember, dude, look, I rented it. I had rented it. I had played Diablo 1 on the PlayStation 1. And I remember the main reason I even wanted to is because I was curious. I remember, I'll never forget that. Like, I remember when they first announced that on the PlayStation, I was like, what? How's that game gonna play on a PlayStation on a controller? Because even I had a hard. There was no way. I was like, dude, there's no way that's gonna be able to play fine on a controller. But they did a great job. And we're talking billions of years ago. Play not billions, but Diablo 1 on PlayStation 1, and I always thought it was weird because they never put Diablo 2 on console. But Diablo 1 worked great in my experience playing that on PlayStation 1. Like, I was very impressed. Now, it wasn't as easy to navigate the inventory, I mean, with the way inventory works in Diablo, right? But it was still fun and it played just fine on a controller. So I thought that was funny that he brought that up too, and I was just like, have you not? Why do people always forget about Diablo 1 on PlayStation? Like, what the heck? I mean, heck, even Final Fantasy 14, they did an incredible job, and 11. They did Final Fantasy 11 and 14. They did an incredible job putting these MMORPGs with all the hotbars and everything, all the skills that you get in those games, and putting it on a controller. They did a really, really good job. Um, so, anyways, Diablo 2 Resurrected. It looks really amazing. A couple improvements that I thought were neat, and I only remember one specifically off the top of my head. Is the stash. You no longer need a mule. Now you'll have a stirred chat stash between characters. So which is cool. Is cool. So they did talk a lot about how, look, we're in a sense they're porting it as much as they can, right? They have it layered. The way they built the game, the resurrected version, is they basically just put it right on top of the original, so that the way it plays and everything, even though it's at 60 frames per second, it still feels the same, which I thought was really interesting. Because the way the animations were and everything. But it reminded me, dude, it reminded me of Diablo 3. There's this mode in Diablo 3 where you play Diablo 2, like it's like some kind of portal thing, right? It's like a little mini game. And sorry, I've just got a thing on the side here. Um there's a part in Diablo 3, it's a special event where you get to go and basically play in the Diablo 2 graphics, right? Like, I forget what it's called. It's something about going back to Tristan and stuff, and it's really cool. I only played it a couple times, and I only completed it once. The second time I went to go play it again, I just wasn't in the mood. I was really tired and stuff, and I just never went back to go play it more. Basically because the one-time playthrough, as much as I loved it, dude, I thought it was so cool. I loved playing in the Diablo 2 style graphics. Even the animations were kind of old, like you could see the animations, man, like, the way everything changed. But it was so cool because it was Diablo 3, it was freaking awesome. I was really impressed by that. And it's been around a while. I never actually played that until this year, though. Like, last month or whatever. Like, I finally played that event and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. So, so even though they upped the frame rates in Diablo 2 Resurrected, you could even tell just by watching it, just like the little bits of gameplay that they showed, that it still looked the same. Just everything was it just looked better visually, just graphics wise and stuff. So they kept it as close as possible, and they're working with a lot of assets and like a lot of really cool stuff. But I really liked the personal stash thing. I thought that was cool and smart, and I had never even thought about that, right? Because I had forgotten about the mules. I completely forgot about the damn mules. Oh my gosh! Oh, they even talked about it in the interview. I forgot about the disconnects for your games. Like, so you could create games in Diablo 2, right? And sometimes you would create a game specifically to mule your items. You have to go into a game, you put the password in. And then you drop your items in that game so that you can log on to your different character to go into that same game with your password and pick up the items that you dropped for yourself. one of the issues with that was, unless you had a friend to help you, that you could trust, not some random person that you met in the game, because like that was a problem too. Like if you randomly met people, a lot of them were jerks, man. They'd steal your crap. Kind of funny. Um, but you know, I had friends for sure. I had mule friends and stuff. But if you didn't have any friends online at the moment or whatever, and you created this game, you learned that if you didn't like leave that game open long enough, you had. I mean, a lot of us learned to just go kill some enemies, go maybe complete like a quick quest or whatever, and then return to town. Because if you just created a game and then dropped all your items and left it right away, like you created a game, 30 seconds, you're in, drop your items and leave, that game would literally disappear. It would just vanish because it wasn't open long enough. So all your items that you were trying to mule just poof. Oh man, I forgot about that too. That's some funny stuff. I had also forgotten what the level cap was. I had talked about that a tiny bit in my favorite games episode, where I was like, because I really couldn't remember what the level cap was, and then they were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, 99, that's right, I forgot. There was like the rush for the leaderboards and all that to the first to 99 and that kind of thing. I've completely forgotten about that. I forgot 99 was the cap. Um, and but I do remember too, like once you got to 90 and 92 specifically, I don't know, 90 to 92 seemed okay, but after 92 it was just that grind was insane. Like 90 plus, the grind to 99 was deep, man, you know. So you should even still be impressed by somebody who gets to 99. I don't actually know if they're that's actually has me curious if they're I don't remember seeing them talk about it or hearing them talk about like how if there's any change to the XP. I know that they had the way they talked about it, they're trying to keep it as close to everything as possible. So that's pretty cool. It looks great, man. It actually looks great. The other thing I like is they did an option for auto gold pickup. So it's actually toggleable. So anybody that doesn't want auto gold pickup, and it doesn't work for potions and loot, right? It's just gold, just gold. So they made an option, and I thought that was cool. I thought that was very smart. Personally, I would use the auto pickup gold thing. Um, and then what was the other one that was? Oh, the other thing that's really cool. It's one of my favorite things ever that I've ever seen, and I've only seen it in like two games. I can't remember what the other one is. I know Halo did it, the Master Chief Collection, and oh, Secret of Mana did it too. I think I was told they did it, but I've never played that one, the remaster they did. But I know there was another game too where at the press of a button you can switch between the original graphics and the new graphics. That's freaking cool, man. I love stuff like that. Man, I did that so much in two of my playthroughs of the Halo 1 Master Chief. I couldn't help it, man, because it's so impressive seeing that difference. It's just like, whoa, and I'd just be sitting there spamming the button everywhere I went, you know? Pretty cool. So yeah, I am excited for Diablo, but you know, I'm just like, I would rather play 3 and I would rather play 4. I talked about that too. Like I prefer 3. I like it more. One thing I would have loved to have seen, dude. I would have loved it if they had made this an option in part 2. And I understand it would be pretty rough, pretty hard to do, but I think they could do it. I imagine, right? I would have preferred if they could have added an option to make it so that we could on the fly change our skills and not have to re-level each character and just on the fly whenever, kind of like Diablo 3, whenever we feel like changing the way we want to play, go into your skill tree and just switch it. That would have been really impressive to me for Diablo 2, and that would have made me far more hyped for it personally. Just I would have been way more hyped if that was a feature. And again, I mean toggleable. I mean, of course, I wouldn't be mad at any players that would prefer to play the original way, but for me, no way, dude. That's one of the biggest reasons I prefer 3. It's not the only reason. I love everything about 3. 3 is really cool. Its launch was rough, and their loot system sucked in the beginning, but I still love the game. I love Diablo 3. Reaper of Souls was just like, boom, here we are. This is what we were supposed to be, and then it just got better and better. So I think they've done a really good job with part 3. But yeah, that would if they did the skills like that in part 2 and the Resurrected, I would have, dude, that would have had me hooked. Just knowing that part, because like I do not plan to go back and redo that game the way I did when it was first out, you know. And I talk about it when I have talked about it in the past. Like I'm fond of those memories. Like I loved it at the time when I was playing that, the way it was and everything. Like I loved it. You know, I don't hate it or anything. Like, I loved it, but I do not want to do that again. And I prefer Diablo 3. So Diablo 4 I'm looking forward to. And this is just something I came across today, and I was so pissed. And then I had to go read it a little bit more. But here, I'll tell you what pissed me off with Diablo 4 today. I might go back to Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm not sure. I think I said everything I wanted to say so far. I originally was planning to talk about these thoughts of Diablo 2 Resurrected when I first saw it announced, and I was like, oh wow! I'm telling you, it was like 2 days after I was talking about these games, Diablo 2 and 3 as a part of my favorites and stuff. So I thought it was really funny. But then this morning, oh my gosh, Diablo 4, dude. So I've been excited about Diablo 4, but I haven't been following all their stuff, right? They've actually been doing like a lot of dev diaries and sharing all this stuff. And I'm like, just for me, I don't really care. I'll wait. I think the biggest reason that is because I used to be hyped for years for games. And I can't let myself do that anymore because I'm just like, it's a brain killer, man. I'm like, no, stop it. Stop teasing me, you know? But it is cool to have all that information available. It's pretty neat. So, but I haven't been following their dev diaries and stuff like that. I'll check out some headlines here and there. I've seen the trailers anytime they do a new trailer, like they did that Rogue trailer at BlizzCon and stuff, and that looked cool. Although cinematics, half the damn trailer was cinematic. I skipped to the end. I was like, is there any damn gameplay in this? And then come to find out there actually was gameplay in it, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I hate cinematic only trailers, man. They drive me nuts, especially when it just shows like the full cinematic and not teases of cinematics, you know. I'm just like, why? Why? I'm going to see this when I play the game. What the hell, you know? Anyways, so the headline today for Diablo 4 that made me go, hold the hell on. Here's the headline. Diablo 4 will be pretty scarce when it comes to encounters with other players in the open world. And I was like, my first reaction was like, are you people stupid? Not only, so the headline by itself, it's fine by itself, but it just makes it seem like, I don't know, just reading that, because it doesn't say, I don't know why this would be the headline. Because I'd be like, my headline would be like, why the hell is Diablo 4 open world so scarce of players? This is an open freaking world. Why are there no players? Why are you making this sound like it's a good thing? This is not a good thing. And I'll tell you, it's really funny to me because I even left a comment. I was like, did these people not realize like one of the biggest reasons and one of the greatest things about Diablo 2 was the 8-player online, 8 players. Did they forget this? That was amazing. Like, I always played 8 players, dude. I was always in full freaking lobbies, dude. Always. Almost always, right? You know, I mean, but years of that, man. Full lobbies, dude. Chaos runs, Diablo sync runs, and Mephisto runs, and Bale runs, and dude, like the only problem with those runs, the only problem was just the loot was shared, right? Like, it's no individual loot. Like, so people would rush to get the loot. They'd rush and like click fast, and then eventually there were mods that were like auto loot stuff, which was nuts, you know. But outside of that, you know, the 8 players all at once on one screen, all fighting the same boss and farming together and stuff, that was so freaking cool, man. It was so damn cool. So now and that was a disappointment to me with part 3 when I heard about it. Now, it didn't end up mattering to me, and I don't think it'll matter much in part 4 either. I just thought this was such a weird thing to act like it's a good thing. Like, oh, the less players in your open world, like, oh, you know, they're trying to treat it like it's a good thing, and I'm like, no, this is not a good thing. So it sounds interesting. It's weird. They're trying to make it sound like this survival game, you know, like you're in the apocalypse and there's no people because everybody got wiped out. So apparently that was one of the explanations was, you know, it continues right after part 3 where Malthael, I guess, wiped out the planet. I don't even remember that part happening, but but you know, my memory sucks. Whatever. I don't remember him wiping out the planet. But I'm done, so whatever. But no, so this continues after 3, and basically the world is dead. So, and that's why they're like, we didn't think it would feel right if there are more players in the world than there are enemies, which that I can understand. But this sounded like a really stupid excuse to me. I was like, well, why don't you just put more enemies in it based on how many players are in the zone? You know, kind of like World of Warcraft went through the same thing in the Burning Crusade. That was the first time and that wasn't even at the launch of Burning Crusade. They had to patch it like halfway through that expansion. They finally got around to figuring out like an algorithm or whatever to make it so that where the more players that were in a zone, the quicker enemies would spawn. And that was never perfect. It's a lot better now. They've worked it out, you know, over the many years. They've worked it out to be better. But originally it was a good idea and it worked well enough for the time. It was better than the original version, which, you know, literally waiting anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes on a spawn for an enemy for a quest, you know, and that was horrible. So that's one of their excuses for this is, you know, they don't want to have more players in the world than there are enemies. And like, well, just do that. Do what World of Warcraft did, you know? Like, just face it off and put more enemies in there, man, you know? Like, geez. It just sounded really stupid to me, so... But they also talk about how they want it to feel like this, you know, apocalyptic world where everybody's dead, like mankind, right? Not demons and such, but mankind. Mankind has been wiped out, I guess, or whatever. And I was like, you know. So it's not a big deal. It's just really weird to me because I was like, why would you act like this is a good thing? Like this is, I don't know. This is just sounds so stupid to me. But. So after I read that, because that was that specific article, that specific headline of the article was just sharing that specific part. So this was actually based on an interview done by a Eurogamer that had a bit more information and stuff. And then one of their guys interviewing the devs compared it to, he was like, I just want to read this because it was funny. I wanted to slap this guy for saying this. He was like, oh damn it, where is it? There's a question he had. Oh, here we go. I'm getting WoW vibes. That's what it... And I was like, you stupid bastard. I would have slapped that motherfracker right up, dude. I would have just slapped him across getting WoW vibes. Like, why do people always, especially now, it's so weird to me. It didn't happen with part 3. It happened with part 3, dude. Like, ever since World of Warcraft came out, Diablo 3 came out, and then people were like, oh, look at all the WoW stuff in it. And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, this is Diablo 2 stuff. This is all from Diablo 2. Like, what is wrong with you damn people? So I have people comparing Diablo to WoW. I'm just like, no, man, no, you idiot. No, shut the hell up. It's so stupid. But I think a part of that is just because I played Diablo 1 and 2 long before I ever got into World of Warcraft. And those two games were literally why I even played World of Warcraft. I would not have played World of Warcraft if it were not for Diablo 1 and 2. I just recognize it as Blizzard. I don't remember if I knew what World of Warcraft actually was or anything, but I wanted to try it because I was very familiar with the developer and I wanted to play their game, you know? I had played EverQuest, though, so I was familiar with MMORPGs and stuff. But it was the only reason I moved to World of Warcraft was because Diablo. But I would not compare them, though. Like, oh, I'm getting some WoW vibes. I want, oh my gosh. Anyways. So something that was really interesting that caught my eye in the full interview, dude, there's a mention of 8 players in the open world. And this is very specific. Apparently it's event-wise, right? So I'm really curious how this works because, dude, they didn't get into enough details of that specifically in the interview. I was just like, wait, what am I missing here? How did we get into 8 players when, first of all, they're talking about how the open world is going to be scarce, right? So they were saying what they want, what they're planning for is they're kind of zoning it in similar to World of Warcraft, I guess, if you've ever played that. How players are in the different, they're in the same zone of the game, but they're in like a different server-ish kind of a thing. It's weird. I forget, they're gated off or whatever. I forget how to explain it, but it sounds like that's what they're kind of doing with this game, so that you won't always be encountering too many players at a time to make it feel like an empty world of enemies and more, you know, whatever. So, but then they were talking, and then on top of that, if you play in a party, it's a 4-player party, like part 3 was, you know, not 8 players. So, but then they start talking about like 8, I think, because they were talking about the way like I was talking about the phasing or whatever will be up to 12 players or something like that. But there is something specific to the open world events where he said something like, if I should have kept it saved, I guess, because he was talking about how like even if you have up to 8 players, so basically there are certain bosses in the open world that will require more players. Oh, here we go. But whether you have 8 or 10 players, there's certainly adaptability we have when we spawn the boss to make it the correct difficulty for that group. So I was just like, wait, huh? So this actually sounds really interesting to me. So basically, like your normal gameplay, playing through the regular game, single player or whatever, or with friends, I guess, if you party up, will be more empty of players as you play the regular game. And then you have dungeons, which you can go into with a party as well. And then you have open world events that also include bosses. And they apparently can have up to 8 to 10 players. And I was just like, what? That actually sounds really cool. Like, to me anyways. I'm sure there'll be plenty of bugs involved, man. Even World of Warcraft has gone through that with their whole phasing system. They've had lots of bugs, stuff despawns, like whatever. Just things go a little bit wacky, but for the most part, it's worked really well. For the most part, like, it's a pretty cool however they do it, pretty cool magic of video gaming, you know, like it's pretty neat. So when I saw that, I was like, wait a second. So we're gonna have like they're gonna be kind of online multiplayer phases depending on the activity that you're doing, and that's really cool. That actually has me pretty excited. So I do look forward to that very much, and seeing how the open world boss fights really play out. And the reason he was talking about that is because they were talking about difficulty specifically. And so apparently some events in the open world you will be too low level for. And then, so if in that case, you might want to look for other players to do it with you, you know, because you will get your butt kicked. And then even so, you might not even be able to survive because you're still too low level. So they will have, and so on top of that, they'll have like stuff that will be too high level for you at the time. And then they'll have scaling depending on how many players are in that one event. The difficulty will be scaled based on that as well. He did mention that they're trying to make it so that it's they won't require like voice chat communication kind of thing. It's not going to be like overly complicated, but it will be tough fights that, you know, when you have that many players going on and going at it, it's not going to just die right away or whatever. I don't know. I think the idea sounds cool. I do remember what it reminds me of right now. I didn't even think of this before. It reminds me of it was kind of similar in Diablo 2 when we would go on runs. 8-player runs, man. 8-player runs. And even 4 to 6 players, whatever, how many people ended up in the game. But I remember playing a lot of 8-player runs. And when you did that for like a Mephisto run or a Diablo, was it Chaos Sync run? Diablo run. I forget. I think it was Chaos Sync. Anyways, there's Mephisto run, Diablo run, and Bale runs. And then came Ancient runs. This was a trio of a boss that was pretty cool. But I remember the most popular was always Bale and Mephisto and Diablo. And you specifically you're doing these runs over and over to get loot from them because they drop the best loot and stuff. So, but I remember the 8-player versions of those, and it depended on people's level, of course, right? Because you could go to do those runs anywhere from level 60 to 99 and such, right? So depending on your team, whatever level people were in there, whatever skills they were using, because people do use different skills and stuff. Sometimes the fight would be a little bit longer, a little bit, you know, and then sometimes that boss, you go in there, and the second you enter the room, the boss is instantly dead. Like, I'm not even kidding, man. Like, I'm not even, the boss would be instantly dead. So, but that was the whole part of the loot farming. You know, people just run in there, kill the boss, leave the game, run in there, you know, create a new game, run in there, kill the boss, leave the game, run in there, kill the boss over and over and over and over and over again. So that was a part of it. That wasn't the only thing about that game. Like, there's, you know, if you've never played it or anything, like, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of gameplay to it. So that it just, once you get to the truest end game and you're super high, you know, you're level 80 plus and 90 plus, that's what you do. You just farm those bosses for the loot. But until you get to that point, there's all kinds of content to play and stuff. So I say that just in case you're listening and you never played it and you're like, oh, what? That's it? That sounds really boring. You just fight the boss over and over. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about like Destiny and stuff. I don't understand why they don't make each planet scale to your level, like your power level. Like, there's so many planets in the game. And there's a lot of content. It's all beautiful and cool and fun. But only the newest content really matters. Like, if you go back to the older content, it's like you're going to the older content at level 50, and the older content is level 1. Like, there's no reason for you to be there. And I don't understand why they don't scale that stuff. It's really stupid and annoying to me. So anyways, yeah, so I'm definitely far more excited for Part 4, Diablo 4, than I am for Diablo 2 Resurrected, and that just makes sense to me. I remember like a year or two ago how they've been having rumors about a Diablo 2 remastered for a long time. And even when I heard about that, I was like, that's cool, but I'd rather have a part 4. I'd rather continue. Cause I've said it for a long time, and I'm fine Used to people being disagree with me on everything, but I love Diablo 3. I really do. Like I said, especially after Reaper of Souls. Now, one thing I remember is I had forgotten to mention this before. One thing I remember specifically to Diablo 3's launch was not just the loot system being bad, and part of it was because of the auction house, which I thought was an amazing idea, and I really wanted to participate in it, dude. The opportunity to make real money in that game was amazing to me. But what happened was, because you could sell items there for whatever reason, I don't. This was always something that confused me. The loot drops sucked. It was so incredibly rare to get something good. Um, and I guess that's why you would be able to sell it and make money. But what didn't make sense, I was like, well, that's stupid. This doesn't make sense to me because you've ruined the game already. Like playing Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, like a big part of it was having fun also with the loot, you know? Getting good loot and all that kind of stuff. And I think it wasn't even like until a year later. It really wasn't even until Reaper of Souls came out that that game actually turned around and became way better. And that was right away. Even Reaper of Souls, they had updates where they kept getting better and better and better. They did a lot of cool stuff ever since Reaper of Souls came out. But until Reaper of Souls came out, the loot system sucked and a lot of it was really sloppy. I really loved the gameplay. I loved the story, but the loot sucked. It was terrible, you know? But that's what really confused me. I didn't understand why they didn't just have both good loot and an auction house where you could make real money. You know, like, why not? Why not have both? Why? They were like, oh, now we're going to make the game have good loot, so we're going to remove the auction house. That made no sense to me. I was like, wait, why? Keep the damn auction house, just give people good loot at the same time. Like, if people want to sell and buy, let them. What is the purpose? It still makes no sense to me. None of the arguments work for me. I'm just like, you can have both. What is wrong with you? Like, man, I would have loved to have done that, man. Let people play and get good loot, and then if they want to buy it as well, let them buy it and sell it, like, you know. And then on top of that, you'd be able to, like, it would also put the opportunity for people to sell low, and people not to have to waste hundreds of dollars, because you could just spend, you know, a buck or even maybe a quarter, depending on how much people sold stuff for. I mean, I know I would sell stuff low. I'd put items on the auction house for, depending on the item, 25 cents to a dollar, maybe $5, you know, possibly $10 if it's some incredibly rare, amazing thing, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's just whatever. I don't agree with those kinds. I think I would have definitely sold a lot of stuff for up to $1. Like, you know, just popping really cool stuff up there. You know, like, hey, give me a buck. I'll take a buck. I'll take a buck. Are you kidding me? Imagine you sell 100 items for $1. There you go. Boom, $100. Are you kidding me? Like, that's freaking awesome. So I'll never forget that, man. It's so stupid. I'm just like, why? I was so pissed because it also confirmed that they made the loot suck because there was an auction house. It just makes no sense to me, man. Just make them both good. Have an auction house and have the loot be good, you bastards. Anyways, all right. So, I think I've said everything I wanted to say right now that I had on top of my head. Diablo 2 Resurrected specifically. I thought the graphics update looks amazing. Really wish they would have done a toggleable feature for being able to change your skills on the fly. That would have sold it for me. Without that, though, I really don't care that much. And Diablo 4, the online stuff was very weird to me, but after reading that part there where he's talking about the open world events and possibly having 8 to 10 players go against an open world boss sounded really cool. It also reminded me a bit of Marvel Heroes, which, you know, you could have up to like 60 players on the same screen. It didn't work very well. It was possible though. You could have 20 plus players on the same screen fighting stuff, and then everything would bog down and break. So, but it was cool. It was really cool. Anyways, yeah. So I'm gonna end this recording now. Thanks so much for listening, and hopefully I'll hear from you and hear some comments and maybe some, you know, whatever. Anyways, take care. Have a great day. Bye.